everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be reapproaching skeletons once again. I know I uploaded a video about playing them not too long ago, but I wanted to really get back into the list because I just love the recommendation of getting Gix into this deck list, because I argued that the problem with this deck list is you have really strong turn 1, 2, and 3 plays if you have a Corpse of the Lost in your hand, which Corpse of the Lost is, I'll read out loud real quick. Skeletons we control get a 1-0, but more importantly they get haste, and then this also makes a 2-2. We can reoccur this back to our hand if we have descended that turn. A permanent enters our graveyard by any means necessary. On our turn, we can pick us back up and replay it, which gives us a lot of tempo. This card is deceivingly good in this deck list alone, so don't sleep on this card if you're playing skeletons. It's very good. But other than that, if we didn't have Corpse, I felt like the hands were lacking. I felt like the Bone Brute was just not good enough, and I stressed that a lot in my last video. But someone's like, just play Gix. Just what Demir does. It's what Golgari does sometimes. Just put Gix in the deck. It's so good. If we're flooding and late game we play it and then activate it 7-mana mode, great. If we're drawing cards with it, which, my lord, did we draw cards with it in one of these games coming up, because we played a lot of early threats. Gix can just provide so much value in our deck, and is a must-answer threat that our opponent has to deal with. And if not, we're just looking at turns where we're playing another Miner or a Tiny Bones or even a Case, because we've hit so many extra cards with Gix and a Corpse of the Lost, putting a lot of pressure on immediately after a board wipe. The other thing as well is that we can get more cards to get to this Rush of the Dread and Bloodletter combo. I've stressed before that I like Bloodletter in this deck just normally, but Rush of the Dread, you can argue maybe you don't want to play it, maybe you do. I kind of like having it, and I think we saw a little bit more value come out of it today because of the extra value that we're getting from Gix and kind of the extra pressure that we're able to put on turn 1s, 2, and 3. But with Rush of the Dread and Bloodletter, if you're not entirely sure how the combo works, if an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead, which is very good, especially when we're putting a lot of pressure with skeletons alone. But if we get to untap and say they temporary lockdown or something, and they're not quite able to get this Bloodletter off the battlefield, well, if we end up hitting that final land, we could cast Rush of the Dread for its bottom mode, where our target opponent loses half their life rounded up. So if they're at 20, for example, Rush of the Dread would do 10. Very easy math, quick math. Bloodletter would see that and say, oh, cool, you did 10, I'll do 10, and then we'll win the game. If they had 21, it'll do 11 and then put them at -1 or something like that. There is no life total that they can go to that this does not win the game. So even against like Orzhov life gain, you have a pretty solid plan to still stick it out and win with this on the battlefield, especially with one copy at the end to exile all the Amalias whenever they do the goofy stuff and sack the whole board. But outside of that, we're going to go ahead and hop into the games. I hope you all enjoy them today. I think they will go incredibly well. We go on a pretty good hot streak, I would say, and get to really show off what the deck is capable of. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. I truly appreciate it. Been getting a ton lately. I don't know what I did to YouTube or what the homies think I'm doing right, but I appreciate it. I definitely see it, and I like to look at number go up, It's very cool. But outside of that, let's go ahead and hop into the games. Oh yeah, we go first. Our hand's pretty cool. I like it. It only gets better if we rip the enchantment, I think. This is kind of like the ideal hand that we're looking for. Oh, and the matchup we're looking for too. Time Explosion is pretty tough, but I mean, we're going all in here. Like I said, the enchantment would be best draw, because then it puts a ton of pressure on here, especially since they're going to be gaining life. The only real issue is I have to kind of disguise this. I can't afford to give them dogs here, but then that costs me kind of mana to do so. One green. What we got? Virtue, pick up land. I think it's one green you can use the Virtue. 7 mana for one side, 1 green for the other. Yeah. All right, their turn is up. Ward here. Attack, hit down to 16. We have a whopping 10 coming across next turn and 2 removal spells. And the flip cost of this is only 2, so we'll be able to remove a thing and attack. What is their play? I don't have a blue. Just cannot get a blue. There's a broker to go get it. We think ill time's probably coming in the next few turns here. They play a creature. I will remove it. Yep. Hey, you kind of keep them honest here. Russia Dread. The sheriff is probably fine to use here. Next, combat attack. Turn face up. Crack them down to 7. Most likely they'll hit us for a ton here. And then we can go find kind of the other combo piece with Rush of the Dread. We can go that route, or we can make them discard half their hand, which isn't necessarily that great to do. Kind of actually, I'm gonna go get the thing that makes a creature with haste. Use Rush of the Dread to kind of take their life total out. A tap land here. Ill time is not online. So I can Rush to the Dread. If I hit a land, make them lose half their life total. They could play a Nissa here. Then I remove Nissa and they lose. Or they use Fires of Victory to shoot a creature. Ooh, World Soul Rage there. They're going to gain 1. I have a lot of outs to win this game right here and now. They go to 9. That is not an out, that's for sure. But this will also trigger here, so we can sack that on our turn and then play the thing if they go for it that turn then. Whenever you commit a crime, you may have that and it'll return to the battlefield. Attack. Down to 1 they go. Our opponent sacrifice half. Yeah, I just needed one more land here. Play this. I'm just going to play it all out. Even though they might have ill-time explosion here. If I ever commit a crime, I can always pay to bring these back. They can World Soul Rage for 4 and then grab 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep. But we have an out to that. What am I doing? I forgot that that's on the dog. I could have done that at any time. It dies. Each opponent loses 3 life. I forgot that it did that. Go first. Uncounterable Skellyman. Very sick. We'll keep. Even though one of these is going to be named on Phyrexian. Hey, yeah. Should I play this one first? I should probably play this one first, right? As I kill it and then Tiny Bones ever makes contact, then it like can target a card in their graveyard and commit a crime. But here's my 2/2. Ooh, it is control. I'm not gonna let them know, you know. I'm gonna play a little Tiny Bones here. I'm gonna get in, and then they're gonna hold up a No More Lies, and then I'm gonna play this, naming oh my god, it's just guy. Phyrexian. Discard. Uncounterable. Attack. I will take my 2 card draws, please. Big action. Okay. Okay. I lied, chat. We're going to lose. Oh, no temporary lockdown available. Wandering Emperor also not available. So combat. Attack. Down to 9 they go. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm drawing every one of these cards. Okay. All right. Okay. Just stop drawing lands, Brick. It's not that hard. Oh, you have 3 steps ahead. Honestly, caverns are actually wild here. They draw instead of countering. They have it to populate. That kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. I would assume they have it to populate. Oh, they have an Aven? Sure. Sure. Hit me with it. Yes? Uh-huh. I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? 'Cause that's gone. Creature Planeswalker. Oh. Tough looks for the home team. Combat. Attack. Have at thee. Take action. Okay. I don't know if my hand can get any more awkward than what it is. You know? Because, like, I'm trying to make it awkward, apparently. Tiny Bones, I guess. Ass. All the land draws and all, like, the legendary copy draws. I'm playing around Sunfall, by the way, if you're wondering why I didn't just barrel a Gissa in there. I also am holding 2 caverns, so, like, I'll get to fit this in at some point here. But 3 steps ahead to draw 2 cards there. I mean, I get it, but that just had to mean their hand sucked, or they were missing a land. Their mana did come in pretty awkward with, like, an anchorage, a basic mountain, a basic island. I get it. It's very hard to pull off in that deck, for sure. How much mana is this? 7, 4, 5, 6, and 7? So Gix is a little too far away to turn on. Sure. Yeah. Listen, Emperor could be here. I think it's worth playing the corpse here. I'm sure they counter it, but like, or Emperor can come in, and then I can end the Emperor, and then Tiny Bones has haste. I mean, this Corpse of Loss is pretty tough. Pretty hard card to beat. Right, Lockdown doesn't get it. I mean, I guess it gets the token, but either way, I'll kind of counteract what they hit with the Tiny Bones. If their plan is to have Anchorage come in and block, it's not going to work out too well. But I do have a cut down. Move to combat. Again, I do think there's an Emperor here, but I'm putting as much pressure in play as I can. Guess what, chat? Guess what card we don't have to deal with after rotation? This one. Which is pretty sick, if I have to say so myself. Please target something other than Gix. We would have won. Wild. But Gix is gone. They go to 6. We hit them to 1. Yeah, why not? Hi, creature. He's mine. I love him. Here comes Sunfall into make creature, and to me cutting down the creature and then playing this Tiny Bones and getting in with lethal. Alright, ready, break. Yeah, I mean, you have to make a 2/2 after, right? We've also been holding these caverns. Good game, I guess. Yeah, they do that and concede. Sure. Oh! Devastating! Their only other white mana was... Can I lock in? Wait, my webcam's fuzzy. What's happening? Webcam. Dude, everything's breaking. Oh, no. I gotta turn these off, dude. But, I didn't even realize that... We talked about how their mana was bad before, but I didn't realize their other white mana was just an Adhikar waste. That's so hard to do, especially whenever they have like a demolition field that came in a little late. I knew that the basic mountain and the basic island were pretty devastating in general, but I didn't even realize they lost a life when they played the Emperor. But I was pretty ready for... I think we had it covered regardless if they did this, because most likely they're sun falling, making a 2/2. We cut it down. We play this with haste off to Corpse of the Loss, and then we get in for lethal. Either way, kind of nice to see that we won regardless of them losing that life there. All right, we're on the draw. We have a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, a kind of substitute 2-drop if we need, and a 4-drop. We just need to hit a couple of lands here. I'm for it. I am for it. Mono red, not good. Do hit land drop. We'll see how this goes. Bloodletter can be pretty devastating. If we were on to play, I feel like this entire game will change, but we'll see. Flick Shot comes in, like we said. Long Goodbye is going to have a kind of replacement text here. Or not replacement text. Our case, our turn 2 plague is kind of replaced here. I'm going to see if they don't target it with an ancestral anger, because if they do, then sure, I get more value. Urbass Forge, I honestly am kind of okay with that, which is weird to say. Because overall, I think with Bloodletter, I just become faster than the Urbass Forge. And we hit another land. Wow. Okay. Corpse. Get him in. Down to 12. I'm picking up pace. Also, if they mess up, they tap out here. Bloodletter with these 2 creatures in play is actually lethal. And mono red a lot of times doesn't have a reason to hold back here. Flick shot. Go all out. I don't think they're gonna. Oh, they went all out on an attack. And we get there, chat. We get there. That's crazy. Look how good we are. We'll play this on a red tapped out. We'll hit for 6, and then it'll double it, and they'll die from 12. Very cool. I go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, and we win. We took a page out of Mono Red's book. Very cool. I've kind of a lot of removal here. A maul. I'm gonna be fine to keep this, I guess. With this much removal, I'd actually like for this to be the Tiny Bones, just in case it is kind of a creature deck, so my removal can find a little bit more value whenever it makes contact, if it were to make contact. Yeah. Double maul there kind of foreshadowed Boros gameplay. But here's our 2/2. Dangerous boy. Veteran, gonna gain a lot of life against this probably. I can't block. That is indeed what that symbol means. I cannot block. We're looking for land drop. Perfect. I'm looking for shoot the sheriff here. There are 2 cards. I might as well just be as aggressive as I can. That hits. Nice. They're going to use veteran to try to outgain this, so they're not really. Ooh, that's good for us, weirdly enough, because more creatures in the way actually makes it a little bit harder. Skeleton. Now we'll play Corpse and Lost. Make pressure. This is 6. Down to 12. Now they can't really attack, but as soon as they hold it back, I'm going to play Case and then go for the throat this creature. Or if they play Knight, play like a Knight Aaron of Eos, and then I'm going to go for the throat that Knight. This is very possible here. They attack. Okay. Very stick, I guess. I'm going to play this one. I assume this is now means they're going to make a Mirix token. And then they're going to make a dude off of it. I'm going to wait until they activate Mirix, and then I'm going to go for the throat to veteran. So they don't gain any life here. I know what this pretty much means. I could technically die here, now that I think about it. If they Gleeful Demolition, then Immodange Recruiter, I think I actually die. I don't know what the math is, because I'll take 3. I'll take 4. They'll be... Show it to me. Did you rip it? Sweet. Got there. Menace. Kind of a cool card. I make them sack half their creatures, and I win. I'm going to sack half their creatures. They control rounded up. Yep. So they have to pick 2, and then they can block my miner, but then this 3 gets through for lethal. And we find a way to win against Boros, who mulled to 5. I know, I'm very proud of my accomplishment. They mulled to 5 and I won. Very sick. Either way. Yes, sir. As long as we draw a land, we're living. These, good. Land needed. Swamp. Miner. Dude, you think it's the skeleton from Minecraft? Just a mirror? Ooh. I know what to get rid of here. The card that's incredibly expensive in our hand. Bonk. Bonk. Time. It's another hopeless nightmare. Like, the bloodletter's gone, but it looks like we're probably going to get fairy and to pick this up and to make me discard, and bloodletter will probably have to be the one that goes. Without the land drops, can't justify keeping it, where if I do find one, then these are good. But I have a feeling the draw is going to be Rush of the Dread. My guess. Or a land. Very sick. I was just guessing, chat. Sometimes I can be wrong. Now, if they don't do a ton here, I get to play another one, and then there are 4 each kind of coming across. Because, again, I would still let Bloodletter go if we see Fairy pick up Hopeless Nightmare. Braid's unavailable here. They could play the Angel, but I don't think it flickers enchantments. If I'm not mistaken. But they do nothing. Bloodletter here almost kills them. Because Bloodletter would make this hit for 12 if they don't have enough to kind of deal with anything. What you got, my opponent? Sure. Not really the draw I was looking for, but the draw I got. Down to 8. I have lethal on board. If they're planning to play a creature, I have go for the throw. Unless they make me double discard. Which I'm going to still let the Bloodletter go. Tapland. Math doesn't change too much, I don't think. Also, if just a remove creature here and a land draw I get there. But Tiny Bones is pretty sick. Tiny Bones also gets haste and then hits for 3. And then I can cast their Virtue that's in Adventure Zone. I'm lying, by the way. Combat. Sure. Guess what I get to pick up, chat? Even if they say this was Elspeth's Smite, I'm bringing it up just in case. Because they go for the throw to Tiny Bones, which I think it was more of like whatever. It didn't really matter, even though it had haste and it would commit a crime, and then I could bring the skeleton back, so it's actually pretty bad. I get to pick these up, and then I'm at 16, and I have 2 extra cards in hand, so then I can afford to leave the Bloodletter around, you know? Very cool, very cool. We come away with another win. I like that. And Plat 2, or Diamond 2. I'm not cheating. I keep going first. Like, I'm winning, chat. I'm winning. All right. A little part of me always wants to play the Forsaken Miner first, and I think that's still the answer. Without a removal, Tiny Bones is slightly worse, I guess. Just Demolition Field kind of sussy. I've kept a lot of 2-landers, by the way. Draw the land. Ooh, tough. With that in play, if they play a creature, Tiny Bones might be blocking here. If I would have drew a swamp, I think we absolutely crushed this game. Because I would have played this and this. Well, my creature, apologies, does not have the correct data. Oh no, am I just dead? This sucks. This is so strong against me. Might be the only thing that can stop me right now, you know? I'm gonna do this to get a second black source, because I might have to use the Rush to the Dread, but it's not gonna look very good. Go get your land. Yeah. This one I'll probably be passing. Not like a go for the third or something. I feel like I'm going to lose this match. Virtuoso seems tough to beat. But if we lose to a card just rotating, then I'm not too concerned about it, considering so far the only cards that they've played are rotating cards. Kind of the idea, right? We're looking forward to the future, not kind of what the meta looks like now. I mean, I guess if I can get away with this, then I will. Tiny Bones will get exiled here, but the other two can't block, I might as well do this, because if they have some shenanigans to make Virtuoso pretty large and the 2 extra damage kills me, I'm going to be upsetty spaghetti. But also if Tiny Bones trades off here, Rush to the Dread can then make them sacrifice their Virtuoso, because the target opponent attacks half their creatures they control. Rounded up, so if this does trade across, we feel pretty good. Kind of depends. Maybe they have 1 Lorion's revealed, so they don't want to let their shields down against Virtuoso. But I already foreshadowed I didn't have anything, because I demo field their land. I would most likely go for the throw to Virtuoso right away. But they're in the tank, so we'll come back your regularly scheduled program whenever we come back. Okay. Did they leave? Maybe? I have no idea, but we have a pause here. I'll explain my play, because if they are gone, I'll talk about whatever. I'm going to leave the skeleton back that the Corpse of the Lost makes, and then I'm going to have the Forsaken Miners attack for 6. Because if they have a chance to attack me, they're definitely probably going to have lethal in play. Okay. Still going to play correct here, and I'm going to attack with these. Your go? Okay, chat. I guess they just conceded. Alright, chat. Well, here we are in the outro, and I do have some interesting stats this time. I don't know why I kind of went away from this. Maybe because, I don't know, I just didn't do it. But today, so the main thing I end up swapping out is I swapped out 3 of these hunted bone brutes, right? And I put in these Gicks, because the problem was we were pretty much having like a strong hand. And turn 3, if we didn't have a Corpse of the Lost, I made a stupid pun, dude. We were basically lost, is what I was going to say. But basically what we were doing is after turn 1 and turn 2, our turn 3, if we did not have this card, we really found ourselves kind of in this awkward, I don't have a strong, powerful thing to do. Because I think putting this in for disguise is fine. And then we have to flip it, which worked out well the one time we did it, because we also had the removal in hand. So it wasn't that bad. But most of the time, if like our turn play comes out to like play a miner, play like a case, and then play this on the other side, and our opponent temporary lockdowns us, I feel like the game is so lost. But the game we saw where we had the Gicks and then we got temporary lockdown, Gicks still ended up drawing cards. And I think without Gicks in that game, and say it was just a hunted bone brute, 0 chance we win. I think if you count the amount of arguably bad draws that we had with the Gicks, not getting those out of the way, there's like 0 chance we ever come out of that game. I think we drew 6 lands in 5, like 5 cards of them were like 6 cards, 5 of them were lands, and the other card was like a legendary Tiny Bones that we already had in play. So it wasn't necessarily that good. So without Gicks there, I don't think we crawl out of that spot or even threaten enough to get there, along with then finding cards to play our top end. And I think what Gicks does so well for us, like it has in the past with like the mirror and stuff, is it really sets up our turns to just constantly stay aggressive with other cards, at least down here in this kind of realm. The end, but the rest of these cards, it allows us to stay aggressive and plays a card that demands an answer and a card that gets incredibly annoying if I'm picking it back up and replaying it. But it allows us to find extra mana for whenever we get to this Rush of the Dread and Bloodletter, almost to the point that sometimes we can kind of do both of these in the same turn. Obviously, not necessarily a great plan, but it is possible. The other idea is as well that because we're drawing so many cards with Gicks, we can now just go ahead and barrel one of these Rush of the Dreads to take our opponent's hand size and cut it in half, or cut their board in half if it's like Boros or something. And we're not necessarily that stressed about it because we're getting a lot more cards in hand and we just don't care. The only thing I would say you have to kind of watch out with Gicks is in those like mono red matchups, which do get slightly weaker without Play with Fire, Kamano, a couple of the other things that they kind of have in their early going. So like Gix is a little bit safer, but the problem with Gix is, you know, you draw too many cards and then all of a sudden you're getting burned out of the game, and it's kind of sucks there. But with that said, we went 6-1 with this deck. We had obviously it's not a crazy sample size, but that's 31 minutes. And on the play, we won 80% of our games. And then on the draw, we actually end up winning 100% of our games, which is a pretty good statistic just for like one little change. And before I played some matches, I was like 5-5 without that change. I cut some cards out and things like that. And then a long time ago, we were like 7-7 with a different variation. But once I've settled on this, we ended up 6-1, and some of the games didn't look necessarily that close. I do think we arguably could have been 5-2 with that Boros match, but the other loss also was just like a control match where they just had everything, and I already have a control deck in here, and the cards I kind of lost to are cards we're not going to see post rotation, so I kind of just went like, sure, I lost to every card that we won't see anymore. Kind of so, you know. But outside of that, I think the deck's actually solid. I don't like to gas up too many decks because I get a little nervous recommending decks because somebody's like, I crafted it and it sucks. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean for it to suck. It just worked out well for me. But it is definitely, you kind of have to marry this deck a little bit, especially if you're not with a lot of, like, if you're not trying to craft a ton of decks, you do kind of have to marry this archetype. Now, Mono Black in general, I think, has a good rotation plan. The only problem being is like these are kind of questionable. I actually like Bloodletter in this deck just in general because the aggression here, and then like we saw in the one game with the Corpse of Loss and just 2 creatures with 3 power playing a Bloodletter after, hit him for 12 and we won. The math works out where like 1, 2, and 3 works out to Bloodletter getting there. But, like, I could see you arguing, like, Rush to the Dread. I don't really want to craft that card, and I would get that for sure. But other than that, I mean, Tiny Bones, you'll probably play in other decks more as a 3 of, maybe not necessarily a 4 of, kind of uncommon, like all of our removal here. But then also you have this Case, which is not really going to see play outside of this one deck. So, if you are crafting this, just be aware that you might have some bad runs. I did have somebody on the last video message that they did hit Mythic with skeletons, and like I said today, I had a pretty hot run there. I think the games were pretty well ran overall, and I think the deck does have a lot of potential, and if we get more skeletons, this deck just has a lot of upside. But I would recommend being a little bit careful whenever it comes to crafting it if you're not willing to kind of commit to a deck like this and work on it a little bit, or be super okay with having very down days on a deck and very high days. Because again, mono red is a great example of that, where mono red, you can have days where the deck performs like perfect for you, you're on the play a lot, everything's kind of working out, your slick shot didn't get answered when you played it on turn 2, and you win your games. Next time, you're on the draw every time, your opponent has the lockdown, they have to get lost, they have whatever they need, or like mono blue counters your thing, or blue white has no more lies for a Corpse of the Lost and things like that. There's a lot of things that you can run into that will make the deck seem like it can never win, but I've had pretty good success with it, and the matchups that we do go first feel really hard to lose whenever you do kind of have that good curve out with like the Corpse, and then with Gix in here we have like better 3-drop chances. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video regardless, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.